I think that Catherine, in terms
Harry and Meghan, adored by millions, their wedding watched by 1.9 billion people around the world. But today they're royal exiles, with public support at rock bottom.
The honeymoon, in terms of Harry and Meghan's relationship with the rest of the royal family, was over very quickly.
The seeds of this shocking fallout are sown at their wedding. Huge rifts tear apart the royal family. William and Harry lock horns, and Meghan goes to war with Kate.
the bridesmaid dresses started a rift between Meghan and Catherine. I think Meghan was the ultimate bridezilla.
The Queen is forced to reprimand the bride.
The build-up to the wedding was basically
Harry and Meghan, adored by millions, their wedding watched by 1.9 billion people around the world. But today they're royal exiles, with public support at rock bottom.
The honeymoon, in terms of Harry and Meghan's relationship with the rest of the royal family, was over very quickly.
The seeds of this shocking fallout are sown at their wedding. Huge rifts tear apart the royal family. William and Harry lock horns, and Meghan goes to war with Kate.
the bridesmaid dresses started a rift between Meghan and Catherine. I think Meghan was the ultimate bridezilla.
The Queen is forced to reprimand the bride.
The build-up to the wedding was basically one disaster after another for the relationship.
Now, for the first time ever, we can reconstruct critical secret meetings.
It was a conflict that just escalated and escalated and escalated.
Thanks to the testimony of some of those involved.
On the surface, this wedding was a fairy tale, but it had become a nightmare.
As this day of celebration turns to tragedy,
The wedding was the turning point, really, where it all went horribly downhill.
leaving the royals in tatters.
Harry and Meghan's wedding, it wasn't sort of a state occasion in the way that William and Catherine's was. It was much more of a celebrity affair.
It was quite fun watching all the celebrity arrivals. There's Clooney's, there's Oprah, all the different famous Hollywood names and British stars who came. So it was a real excitement and it was very positive.
It was only later when it started emerging that Harry and Meghan invited people that they didn't really know. Apparently one of the guests asked George Clooney, you know, how he knew Harry and Meghan, and he said, I don't.
I think that kind of speaks to Meghan forging these alliances quite early on, because she's quite savvy like that.
This fairy tale wedding is a global celebration, but behind the scenes, the build-up to this marriage, for some, has been nothing short of a living hell. It started back in the summer of 2016. By royal standards, Meghan's relationship with Harry is a whirlwind.
Harry and Meghan had mutual friends, and Harry spotted her on social media and instantly thought, wow, she's amazing.
Harry doesn't recognize her, but Meghan is a star in the hit series Suits. She's 3 years older than him and a divorcee.
They met up famously at Soho House in London, and from that moment on, he knew she was the one for him.
Harry was the bachelor, his brother was married, and Harry was the cheeky, chappy member of the royal family, and everyone wanted him to succeed in his love life.
But the pace of Harry and Meghan's relationship concerns Prince William.
It might not last, Harold, and you've got to be okay with that. I've never felt like this before. I think she's the one.
Harry actually says at one point that both of them have a kind of radar for people who they think, you know, are out to get something from them. And you get the sense that maybe William was concerned that Meghan could fall into that category.
She's an American actress after all.
William pointed to the background of Meghan and raised some potential red flags.
William spent years dating Kate before he proposed. He made sure that she knew what she was letting herself in for.
I think you should just slow down. I don't want to see you hurt. Don't you want to see me happy?
Harry was much older and he started dating Meghan. They were in love within minutes. And I think William was like, are you sure you know what you're getting yourself into?
It's not about Meghan. I'm looking out for you.
I don't think that Harry appreciated those comments.
It triggered that instinct in Harry to feel as though he's not treated as being important, his emotions aren't important, his relationships are not as important as William's.
Despite William's warnings, on the 27th of November 2017, Harry and Meghan make a big announcement.
Well, we have some good news out of London, where Clarence House has announced the engagement of Prince Harry to American actress Meghan Markle.
Oh yay! Oh yay! Buckingham Palace proudly announced the engagement of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Harry and Meghan are engaged after 16 months of dating. Together with William and Kate, they are a bright future for the royal family, the Fab Four. But this relationship is put under strain when Meghan moves into Kensington Palace and divisions grow.
And I have to ask you, working together as family, do you ever have disagreements about things?
Oh, yes.
The Fab Four dynamic as Meghan joined the royal family did fall apart quite quickly.
In 2020, Harry makes a bombshell announcement that stuns the world.
They are resigning from the royal family. It's simple as that. They are stepping back as what they call senior royals.
The decision that I have made for my wife and I to step back is not one I made lightly.
Later that year, Harry and Meghan quit the UK for North America. And then, things start to go seriously wrong. Releasing a series of projects that reveal shocking secrets about their life inside the royal family.
They were willing to lie to protect other members of the family, but they weren't willing to tell the truth to protect me and my husband.
Since then, Harry and Meghan have been in exile from the royal family.
There has been, for a long time now, no contact between Harry and his father. There is a lot of hurt there, and it will take an awful lot to repair those wounds.
The key event responsible for this devastating split was supposed to be the happiest day of their lives. But as planning gets underway for the wedding, tensions grow between William and Harry. Even the venue is a cause of sibling rivalry.
The chat between William and Harry about where the wedding should be was just so classic of the nature of their relationship.
Hey, Wills. Meg and I think we should get hitched at Westminster Abbey. No good, Harold. We did it there.
From Harry's point of view, he wants parity. You know, he wants to know that he is important too.
Right. St. Paul's? $2,000. Plus Pa and Mummy did it there.
I can't actually see a reason why Harry couldn't have gone back there. But I think for William, he did want to create something to distinguish his wedding of a future king and queen from Harry and Meghan's.
How about Tetbury? That chapel near Highgrove? Seriously, Willie? How many does that place seat?
Suggesting to Harry that he should get married in some village church is never going to go down very well.
Isn't that what you said you wanted? A small, quiet wedding?
Obviously, to Harry, that cuts deep. What he wants is to be given the reassurance that his wedding matters, his wife matters, he matters.
Me and Meg had one other idea. St. George's at Windsor.
St. George's Chapel was a perfect solution. It is officially a royal chapel, whereas Tetbury would have been effectively a civilian church.
Although Harry is pleased with the venue, his bride-to-be is less impressed. During the rehearsals, away from prying eyes, Meghan reportedly has an issue with this beautiful 500-year-old building.
It smells so damp and stale in here. It's horrible.
Well, it was reported at the time that Meghan found the smell in the chapel quite musty, and she didn't really like it, and she wanted to use some kind of atomizer or perfume or sprays to freshen up the smell in the chapel with something of her choice.
It's meant to be my fairy tale day, and it smells of mold.
But there was a bit of pushback, I think, at the palace, who didn't understand why she would need to do this. It was fine for the Queen and every other Sunday service and all the other ceremonial events that take place there, so why wasn't it fine for Meghan and Harry's wedding? It might point to the idea that Meghan was, at that point, already becoming known for making a lot of demands, and so this was just another one on the list that they didn't want to acquiesce to.
With just weeks to go before the wedding, the public are unaware of the turmoil unfolding behind the scenes. But this is just one of Meghan's many demands, cementing her reputation as the difficult Duchess.
She was completely balmy, and she completely lost the ability to hear the word no. She was so rigid. She wasn't willing at all to play by the traditional rules. And I'm afraid she's the ultimate bridezilla.
Bridezilla, or just a stressed-out bride-to-be. Meghan allegedly bullies staff members and, it's said, pushes people to breaking point.
Little by little, more and more was coming out about how unhappy certain palace aides were with the way in which Meghan worked. When you see the number of staff that left, there was a pattern, and people will argue no smoke without fire, and more and more those stories appeared, the more it seemed like Meghan was difficult to work for.
It was just one of those chipping away little things where staff were getting disgruntled, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we now know they call themselves the Sussex survivors. They think they've got PTSD. They were hugely traumatised by this experience of working for Harry and Meghan.
Meghan's alleged demanding behaviour isn't just reserved for her staff.
You got my email, didn't you?
I think she was becoming known for being quite dictatorial and demanding.
If I could get rid of you, I would.
She was busy, and expected everyone else to fall into line.
Catherine and William are famously close with their staff, really, really respectful. Meghan comes on the scene and starts treating everyone like a Hollywood assistant.
What's wrong? What happened?
It was a shared team who worked for both Harry and Meghan and William and Kate, and so that inflamed the rift between William and Kate on the one hand and Meghan and Harry on the other.
You're doing a great job. We'll speak to her.
It's really important to the royal family not to act like you're some lofty Hollywood celebrity and to be very kind to your staff. You know, these are the people that you trust around you.
With disgruntled employees becoming more vocal, William confronts his brother.
So, you wanted to see me? Harold, Meghan is difficult. Who's been saying that? She's rude, she's abrasive, she's alienated half the staff.
So William didn't pay peacemaker, actually. William pointed this out to Harry and said, you've got to get this girl in line.
Meghan's lawyers deny the allegations of bullying and call them a calculated smear campaign using misleading information. Coming up, William and Harry fall out just before the wedding.
Harry was clearly very, very disappointed about this. He saw it as their tradition. It's what he had done for William the night before his wedding.
And an explosive row between Meghan and her future sister-in-law, Kate, tears their relationship apart.
These little moments built up into this huge feud between the two women.
Today, more than 7 years after their fairy tale wedding, Harry and Meghan are raising 2 children, totally removed from the royal family.
Harry and Meghan are now living across the Atlantic and 1 million miles apart from the rest of the royal family.
Over the last 5 years, they have released a series of interviews and books that have torn apart their relationship with the royals.
All of those allegations and all of those comments really damaged the trust that they had in him and his ability to keep things private.
What led to this devastating rift can be traced back to their wedding in 2018. The union of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle is a truly global event. Nearly 2 billion people around the world watch on TV, and hundreds of thousands gather in Windsor, hoping to catch a glimpse of the happy couple.
Windsor was buzzing. I remember the crowds in Windsor, the press, the American press in particular. This was their girl marrying into the British royal family.
There was a real excitement about that marriage and what it would mean for the monarchy.
But behind the scenes, there are bust-ups between the brothers, even over Harry's appearance on his big day. As the wedding approaches, Harry visits his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, to make a special request to break with protocol.
Granny, I know this goes against tradition, but please, may I keep my beard for my wedding? I've had it for years, and I feel more calm with it.
I understand. Yes, that's fine. We wouldn't want you upset on your big day, Harry.
He asked the Queen if he could have a beard for his own wedding, and she let him do that, and William couldn't believe it.
Harold, I'm on my way over. We need to have a little chat and get something straight.
It seems very small when you talk about 2 brothers disagreeing over wearing a beard. But at the time, if you were an officer in the British military, and Harry was an officer in the British Army, you weren't allowed to have a beard.
William's obviously got a very different weight on his shoulders, and so he has to do things by the book and follow protocol. I don't think anyone thought William might have been able to have a beard for his own wedding, whereas there was obviously a little bit more leeway with Harry.
Harold, we need to talk.
So William always thought Harry was getting away with things. Harry always thought that William was put first and was prioritised as the older brother because, of course, he would one day inherit the throne, whereas Harry wouldn't.
In his tell-all book Spare, Harry details his row with William.
You spoke to Granny about your beard? Yes? What did she say? She said I could keep it.
An exception was made for Harry, and that was why what is on the face of it, a very small matter, facial hair, became a big matter between these two brothers.
You put her in an uncomfortable position, Harold. She had no choice but to say yes. No choice. She's the Queen.
The tensions which erupted were symptomatic of the tensions that these two brothers have had all their lives.
Why does it matter to you so much? Because I wasn't allowed to keep mine.
William wasn't the Commander-in-Chief of the British Armed Forces. It was his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, who was in charge of the army. So it was Granny, as they called her, who made the decision and let Harry get married with his now infamous facial hair.
Disagreements like this take a toll on the brothers' relationship. The evening before the wedding, the two princes meet the public.
You've got your cameras in the right position, you're focusing on the gates, the public have a level of anticipation that, wow, perhaps they are going to come out, and they did.
There's the banter between them. Interestingly, William is standing back. He knows it's Harry's big moment. Harry's greeting the crowds, William follows on.
That, of course, was the perfect picture that everyone wanted. It was very different behind the scenes.
But just a few hours earlier, this happy event was not going to happen.
Harry had a plan.
See you tonight for my last night as a free man. Can't do it, Harold. Kate and the kids.
Harry was clearly very, very disappointed about this. He saw it as their tradition. It's what he had done for William the night before his wedding.
But this is our tradition. I made time ahead of your wedding. We went out and met the crowds. Can't do it. Why are you being like this, Willie? I was with you the whole night before you married Kate.
It suggests from a very early stage in Harry's married life that William and Harry were in different places. William had children of his own. Harry wanted his brother to put that to one side for the days of the wedding and didn't think that William was putting him first.
William went off for tea with Granny at Windsor Castle. After he came out, he texted Harry and said,
Harold, I'm going to make it work. Let's go meet the crowds.
Harry thinks that it must have been Granny, Queen Elizabeth II, that changed William's mind.
Whether you're a royal family or not, it's still a huge moment, and having your brother by your side, you know, he's got your back, that's what Harry wanted. Minor little irritations which crop up in any wedding are that much bigger when it is a royal wedding.
Walking back together, we think they'll be spending the whole evening together. Harry hopes that's the case, but William says, OK, I'll come for dinner, but then I've got to go home, Kate and the kids. For Harry, it was another reminder of his sense that he didn't matter as much.
In the build-up to the wedding, William and Harry were not getting on. They were at their lowest ebb.
Coming up, one of the most explosive royal rows of all time. An argument over a bridesmaid's dress leaves Meghan and Kate's relationship in tatters.
I think that Catherine interpreted this as a snub, really. These little moments built up into this huge feud between the two women.
And just before her big day, Meghan's family betrays her.
It was devastating, humiliating, so embarrassing for Meghan.
Harry and Meghan now live in California, totally cut off from the royal family. After a series of interviews telling their story,
they're happy to lie to protect my brother.
The royal family feels betrayed.
Harry and Meghan, the rift has really never been bigger. In terms of his relationship with William, it's dead in the water.
The roots of this separation can be traced back to the couple's 2018 wedding.
From first light, you could just sense it was one of those really great days.
As the day of the wedding arrives, the global media jostle for prime positions. Around the world, nearly 2 billion people are watching Harry and Meghan's big day.
We were in Windsor for several days leading up to the event. A media village had been set up within the walls of Windsor Castle. You had broadcasters from all over the world talking about this big day coming up.
As Meghan prepares for the biggest day of her life, the pressure grows.
Meghan was staying at Cliveden, a fabulous hotel. It started very, very early, having last-minute touches to dress, makeup, that sort of thing. It did mean that she was a little bit on the late side.
It's her wedding and it's a very personal moment, but it's being watched across the whole world. I think most women would have found that hugely daunting.
At 11:58 a.m., Princess Kate arrives with Princess Charlotte and the other bridesmaids at St. George's Chapel.
It's absolutely picture-perfect fairy tale, isn't it?
But behind the scenes, 3-year-old Charlotte is at the center of a huge row that will end in tears.
The bridesmaid dresses. This is when we first started to learn of a rift between Meghan and Catherine.
On the 14th of May 2018, the Givenchy dress intended for Charlotte arrives, and she tries it on for the first time.
Doesn't fit you, darling. It's too long. We'll have to get it altered.
Charlotte had cried because her dress was too baggy. Parents hate to see their children cry. They then have a problem that they have to resolve. These things do happen. The real question is why they couldn't resolve it and why it blew up so big.
Meghan, there's a problem with the bridesmaid dresses.
Now, what seems to have happened, the conversation that Harry details, is that Catherine had texted Meghan, Charlotte's tried on her bridesmaid dress at home. It doesn't fit. It needs to be completely remade. Meghan doesn't reply for a day.
I think that Catherine interpreted this as a snub, really, and thought, I can't be ghosted. And I wouldn't blame her for thinking that. But these little moments built up into this huge feud between the two women.
Charlotte's dress is too big. She cried when she tried it. Right. And I told you the tailor has been standing by since 8 a.m. here at Kensington Palace.
I think probably both women felt in different ways disrespected. Meghan felt like Kate should just deal with the problem because Meghan had 1,000 problems, and Kate felt that, you know, her daughter's emotions were important and she needed some help.
Kate, I have a lot of other things going on right now. I'm not sure what else to say. If the dress doesn't fit, then please take Charlotte to see AJ. He's been waiting all day.
It was a conflict that just escalated and escalated and escalated, and nobody ever managed to stop that process.
Fine.
Now, the first version of the story told us that Catherine was left in tears by this row with Meghan. Then in Oprah and Spare, we get a different version of events. That actually it was Meghan who was in tears. Harry said he found her sobbing on the floor when he came home.
Meg, what's wrong? What's happened?
It was a misunderstanding, but it was one that had clearly affected both of them.
It's Kate. Oh, she's throwing a fit over Charlotte's dress.
I think in all likelihood, both Catherine and Meghan were very frustrated by this exchange, by what was going on. It's highly likely they were both left in tears about this. But the following day, Catherine went round to Nottingham Cottage with a bunch of flowers and a card to say sorry to Meghan. That's where it ends in Harry's book.
Meghan, I wanted to apologise for yesterday. I know how tough these weddings can be. Oh, Kate, they're so pretty. Thanks.
Meghan told us initially about this when she did her Oprah Winfrey interview and said, you know, Kate came around and apologised. So to Meghan, the flowers were the proof that Kate was in the wrong.
It was a really hard week of the wedding, and she was upset about something, but she owned it and she apologized, and she brought me flowers and a note apologizing, and she did what I would do if I knew that I hurt someone, right? To just take accountability.
It's a gesture from Catherine to try and smooth things over. Things had obviously got heated the day before, and they probably both said things that they didn't mean.
I heard that Catherine also brought round Wimbledon tickets. Meghan was apparently offended because she felt the tickets were freebies, the flowers were relatively cheap, and she felt it wasn't enough of a gift and she expected something bigger, a bigger gesture.
This gesture, it seems, was not met in the manner with which it was intended.
Then it got leaked in the papers that actually the flowers wound up in the bin. So even an apology with flowers wound up as a battleground. However it was resolved, Charlotte looked great on the day. Perhaps Meghan was right, and, you know, AJ, the tailor, did a great job.
It isn't just her future in-laws that Meghan falls out with. In the run-up to the wedding, estranged family members back in America are also the cause of conflict.
Meghan's father, Thomas Markle, had 2 children by a previous marriage, Thomas Markle Jr. and Samantha Markle. They were not close to Meghan at all. In one of her interviews, she said that she didn't have any siblings. That's how she saw Thomas Jr. and Samantha. They were nothing to her. And boy, did they make her pay for it.
Dear Prince Harry, it's not too late.
Oh, the letter. The most excruciating, excoriating letter.
Meghan is obviously not the right woman for you.
Penned by Meghan's estranged half-brother Thomas Markle Jr., in which he writes to Prince Harry that he is making the biggest mistake in royal wedding history.
It's very apparent that her tiny bit of Hollywood fame has gone to her head.
That Meghan is a fraud, that she's playing the part of a princess like a C-list Hollywood actress, and he tells Harry it's not too late to change your mind. He crawled out of the woodwork, and in the run-up to the wedding, not having been invited, well, war was declared.
Thomas Markle Jr.'s open letter is published around the world.
It was devastating, humiliating, so embarrassing for Meghan.
But the biggest humiliation and heartache for Meghan is caused by her absent father, someone she had always been close to and trusted.
Thomas Markle was a problem, but I don't think anyone in the palace would have predicted that the problem would become as big as it did.
Just days before the wedding, a series of photos of Thomas Markle emerge and make global news. In each, he seems to be unaware they're being taken.
So he was shown in a cafe, I think, reading a guidebook. He was shown getting measured for his suit with his arms out, with someone with a tape measure. A whole series of photographs that made it look like he'd just been papped in his preparations for the wedding.
But word soon reaches Meghan that her father might have secretly collaborated with the paparazzi and staged the photos.
Meghan has a phone call with her father in which he denies being a part of this.
Meg, I didn't stage any photos.
This is serious. You have to tell me the truth.
I swear, I don't even know the guy.
Okay, come to England now. We'll book you a flight.
I can't now. I have things to do.
He's lying.
Then came irrefutable proof. It was all a setup.
What the Mail on Sunday managed to do is fly out to Mexico, which was where he lived, Rosarito, and they managed to pull CCTV showing him with the photographer staging these pictures. And it absolutely shattered Meghan's relationship with her father.
Thomas Markle had agreed to be photographed and was reportedly paid $100,000 for playing along.
Meghan's in Windsor. All of the preparations are underway for the wedding. The guests are starting to fly in. The rehearsals are happening. And yet her father, the man who is supposed to be walking her up the aisle in St. George's Chapel, is selling photographs to the newspapers. It's devastating.
So Thomas Markle, really sold his daughter out over and over and over again, and that started in that week up to the wedding, colluding with the paparazzi so he could sell pictures, you're continually telling lies. I mean, it's diabolical, actually.
After the wedding, Thomas Markle puts forward his side of the story in an exclusive interview on Channel 5.
Every paper seemed to want to make me look like a dumb, fat slob. The idea was that these would all be candid shots, discreet, no one would know they were posed or anything. It would be just me doing my routine daily. I didn't do it for money. I did this to change my image.
In the wake of this tabloid scandal, there's another bombshell for Meghan.
And we begin with breaking news. Meghan Markle's father, Thomas Sr., has reportedly suffered a heart attack.
It suddenly emerged that Thomas Markle was in hospital and was not going to make it to the wedding. It was an excuse. I mean, there's certainly, that was the feeling in some quarters, there was an excuse not to come.
I've been reaching out to you all weekend. Very concerned about your health and safety.
With no response from her father, amidst all the last-minute preparations and rehearsals, Meghan releases a statement.
Sadly, my father will not be attending our wedding. I have always cared for my father and hope he can be given the space he needs to focus on his health.
The statement that Meghan has to put out just days before the wedding, it's humiliating that her father has put her in this position, that he has found himself in this mess. Devastating that he's not going to be there, and that she has to do this all so publicly.
In her hour of need, Prince Charles, her future father-in-law, steps up and escorts Meghan down the aisle.
That was, for me, a really touching moment, and it was a sign that this isn't just the royal family. This was a family moment, and this was the father-in-law stepping in because Meghan's father couldn't be there.
Coming up,
this is the one.
An outburst over tiaras lands Harry in hot water with Her Majesty the Queen.
One thing that the Queen would never countenance was the ill treatment or rudeness towards her staff.
Today, married life for Harry and Meghan is in California. A series of interviews and books featuring shocking allegations against the royal family created a huge rift between them and the monarchy.
Between Harry and Meghan, and Harry's brother William and his wife Catherine, the divide is huge. There is a lot of hurt there, and it will take an awful lot to repair those wounds.
This disastrous split from the royal family can be traced back to a series of secret arguments around Harry and Meghan's wedding.
This bubbling away of bitterness that all came to the surface and the public didn't know much about at all.
At 12:03, Harry finally sees his bride. This moment is beamed around the world, watched by 1.9 billion people. Meghan looks the perfect princess, complete with a royal tiara. But what no one knows is that this has been the source of tears and tantrums.
In the run-up to the wedding, the Queen said, "Would you like to come to Buckingham Palace? Would you like to borrow one of my tiaras?" And this was a huge honour. So Harry describes going along to Buckingham Palace, and there on the table are set out 5 beautiful tiaras. The Queen is there, and her dresser, Angela Kelly. There are the most stunning tiaras there. He said one was all emeralds, one was aquamarines, but there was one, he described, that stood out and just looked like it was made for Meghan, and that's the one she chose.
This is the one.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Tiaras suit you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Meghan reportedly set her sights on the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik tiara, given to the Queen Mother by Dame Margaret Greville in 1942, and worth more than £10 million.
The royal household had decided that perhaps this was a bit risky, the provenance of the tiara might be problematic, and had suggested that she should choose something else.
The history to this one might be a bit problematic. Best to choose one of the others.
But this looks good on me. This is the one.
Harry is somebody who is quite entitled. You know, he does think that if he wants access to the tiara, he should get it. But he also wanted Meghan to matter to people and for people to kind of be bending over backwards to give her what she wants.
They had to go through Angela Kelly. Angela Kelly also has a bit of a reputation for being quite harsh, I think. Her nickname is AK-47.
Angela Kelly was the Queen's senior dresser and personal assistant from 1993 right up until Her Majesty's death.
Unfortunately, Miss Markle can't choose this tiara.
What Meghan wants, Meghan gets.
Listen here. I'm protecting you both. This one might have a troublesome history.
Harry, the unstoppable force, met the immovable object. And Angela Kelly, who initially just refused to engage with him and stonewalled him.
She was quite fierce and they got on the wrong side of Angela Kelly, and I don't think that was a very good move.
Reportedly, word gets back to the Queen about Harry's alleged bad behaviour.
Meghan cannot have whatever she wants. She gets the tiara that she's given by me.
Yes, Mum.
The Queen had a real soft spot for her grandson, Harry. But one thing that the Queen would never countenance was the ill treatment or rudeness towards her staff.
Meghan thought she was near the top of the tree and didn't understand why she couldn't always get what she wanted.
Those gathered inside St. George's Chapel, admiring the beautiful tiara, have no idea about the dramas it had allegedly caused. They, along with nearly 2 billion others around the world, watched the happy couple.
I think one particular thing that stood out to me was actually the rapport between the bride and the groom.
Harry and Meghan are now to enter this way of life. They will each give their consent to the other.
The love between them, the reassuring glances that he would throw her throughout the ceremony, the smile that she would wear, I think that for me was really powerful.
In the presence of God, and before this...
At 12:39, the Archbishop of Canterbury pronounces Harry and Meghan husband and wife.
They have declared their marriage by the joining of hands and by the giving and receiving of rings. I therefore proclaim that they are husband and wife.
Cameras capture the moment cheers from outside are heard inside the chapel. But is all what it seems? Has the wool been pulled over everyone's eyes? 3 years after the wedding, during her Oprah interview, Meghan drops a bombshell.
You know, 3 days before our wedding, we got married. No one knows that, but we called the Archbishop and we just said, look, this thing, this spectacle is for the world, but we want our union between us. So like the
We see Meghan saying, the Archbishop of Canterbury married Harry and I several days before. That was our real wedding.
I'm so happy we're doing this. This is for us.
Me too, Meg.
It was just a tiny private ceremony that they had away from the cameras and the glaring eyes and all the drama, just for the three of them.
I'll run through the ceremony, so there will be no surprises on the big day.
We've got some vows we're going to say here.
Perfect. This will make things more personal. Do you, Harry, take Meghan to be your lawfully wedded wife?
If this private moment is a real marriage ceremony, then the Archbishop of Canterbury would have committed a crime officiating the wedding at St. George's.
It put the Archbishop of Canterbury, the most senior clergyman in Britain, in a rather awkward position because it was effectively saying this guy's been part of a cover-up.
Do you, Meghan, take Harry to be your lawfully wedded husband?
But I think it was more of that sort of private moment between the two of them to reaffirm their vows away from the crazy circus.
I will then pronounce you man and wife.
Oh, Harry.
I think the Queen must have been furious. £32 million was spent on this wedding.
As a member of the royal family, you don't sort of treat church matters as a mild inconvenience. You treat them with a certain amount of dignity.
And it also shows a slightly sneering disdain for the British public. Like, we didn't really want you to see our wedding, so we had our own one.
The Archbishop of Canterbury had to come out and say, no, it wasn't the case that they were married in Nottingham Cottage Garden. One of the phrases Meghan has used repeatedly is my truth. This was her truth. By retelling that story and the kind of rewriting of the narrative, it does raise questions about just how much we can rely on what is said.
Coming up, Meghan's alleged demanding behaviour puts her on a collision course with the Queen.
In walks Her Majesty the Queen, who quickly admonishes Meghan.
And a perceived act of disrespect by William and Kate angers the newlyweds.
That is the kind of stuff that was contributing to a rift that has really shaken the monarchy to its foundations.
Today, Harry and Meghan live on America's West Coast. This new life has given them freedom.
I think Meghan likes the fact that she can do what she likes. They are not bound by any royal protocol. They're not working members of the royal family anymore.
Why they left the royal family can be traced back to a catalogue of secret disputes and arguments around what was supposed to be Meghan and Harry's happiest day. After the wedding ceremony comes the celebration. The newlyweds make their way to St. George's Hall inside Windsor Castle. They are joined by 600 guests, including George Clooney, Elton John, and Oprah Winfrey. It's then that Harry and Meghan spot something at a nearby table that lit the fuse on a shocking row.
What's going on down there?
Where?
There, look, at William's table.
There's a British style and there's an American style. To sit next to spouses is the American style, and then to sit apart from them is the British style.
I can't believe they've seated us together.
Harry and Meghan wanted couples to sit together. Kate and William felt that you don't sit with your partner and you mix people up.
There was apparently conflict over the seating arrangements. Allegedly, William and Catherine were said to have moved the placements to reflect the British style, much to Harry and Meghan's displeasure.
Why can't they just do one thing that we want?
Oh, ignore it. Don't let it ruin our day.
If you're the bride, if you've changed tradition in other areas, why can't other members of the family accept that things are going to be a little bit different? If you've got a wedding that's as scrutinised as Meghan was, you just want things to be the way you want them to be.
William and Kate said it wasn't them, maybe it was somebody else on the table. It's really kind of crazy to think that that is the kind of stuff that was contributing to a rift that has really shaken the monarchy to its foundations.
Once guests are finally seated, it's time for the speeches.
Harry's very good at public speaking. He knows how to crack a gentle joke in a speech, and he learnt that from his father.
Meg, we make such a great team. I'm going to be Meghan's new leading man, and I'm glad I passed the audition.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Duchess of Sussex.
Let's call this a modern fairy tale.
We knew she was going to give a speech. This is another break with tradition.
There was a girl from LA. Some people called her an actress.
I thought the fact that she wrote it in the third person was slightly odd.
At the kernel of this whole circus was two people who fell in love.
And there was a guy from London. Some people called him a prince.
The prince and the princess fairy tale element was obviously the narrative that she enjoyed and wanted to get across.
All of those people didn't fully get it, because this is the love story of a boy and a girl who were meant to be together.
I can only imagine what the British people in that wedding reception would have made of that, because I'm afraid we Brits, we can't stomach that kind of Americanism.
You don't normally get royal brides making speeches, but the great thing about that day was it was a sense of observing all the traditions that people love about a royal wedding. But there was definitely a sense of it being different, and that was a good thing.
At the reception, a lavish meal is served, including smoked salmon canapes and garden pea panna cotta. But the wedding food has reportedly been the cause of a major falling out within the royal family.
Tasting the food is all part of the build-up to a wedding. She goes to meet the palace chefs and tastes some of the dishes. Meghan, a huge foodie, and this would have been something that she was very much looking forward to.
What's in this?
She gets very upset about this and says,
This is supposed to be vegan and macrobiotic.
and an exchange apparently occurs.
I said these dishes had to be vegan. This isn't, is it?
No, Miss Markle.
In walks Her Majesty the Queen, who quickly admonishes Meghan and says,
Meghan, in this family, we do not speak to people like that.
Yes, ma'am.
manners were everything to the late Queen, and if she felt that somebody was not behaving appropriately, I think she would have been very quick to correct them.
Now, why don't you show me what dishes we have here?
Of course, ma'am.
Any situation where the Queen is required to come and give somebody a dressing down is a bit of a disaster.
The rest of us would have been terrified to have this conversation with the Queen. I get the sense that for Meghan it was water off a duck's back. She didn't quake in her boots.
If you grow up as a member of the royal family, you learn to be polite to your staff.
After a day of celebration, there is one last public appearance for Harry and Meghan.
It looks like something from a Bond movie. You've got a global audience watching this. The Americans are lapping this up. I mean, this is brand Britain at its very best.
The happy couple drive off into what many assume will be a bright royal future.
It all looked as though it was going to be a great new chapter in the royal story.
They were seen as the future of the royal family, those two supporting William and Kate going forward for decades to come.
The public didn't know at the time that the arguments around the wedding are going to lead to this royal fairy tale coming to a sudden end. Coming up, Harry and Meghan's honeymoon is short-lived.
Such was the level of betrayal.
And 7 years after their wedding, is there about to be a family reconciliation?
Prince Harry's aides had flown over from the US, and it was a peace summit.
Harry and Meghan return from a 2-week honeymoon in the Mediterranean. With so much bad feeling in the aftermath of their big day, they are summoned to a crisis meeting with William and Kate.
There was the meeting at Kensington Palace between the two couples, the Sussexes and the Cambridges, to try and repair some of the damage that had been done.
You changed the seating arrangements at our wedding.
The way you talk to people has become a problem.
But it wasn't to be. There was no repairing this fractured relationship. In fact, the divide just got bigger and bigger.
Just 9 months after Harry and Meghan's divisive wedding, there's breaking news.
The Fabulous Four no more. Meghan and Harry officially cutting ties with William and Kate. The soon-to-be parents breaking away from the joint operation they currently share, now setting up their own royal household in Buckingham Palace, a complete separate home base for their staff and offices.
The disagreements, many of which surfaced during the wedding planning, continued into their new married life.
Then, 19 months after their wedding, there's another announcement. Harry and Meghan will split from the royal family.
A deal has been agreed on the future of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who are to step down as working royals in the spring. Buckingham Palace confirmed on Saturday that Prince Harry and his wife Meghan will no longer receive public funds. They won't use their royal titles either.
Looking back at Harry and Meghan's wedding in 2018, seeing the hope that the event heralded for so many people, it is then surprising to think that just 2 years later marked their exit from the royal family.
This split becomes more acrimonious once Harry and Meghan relocate to America and decide to sell their story. And scores are settled from wedding fallouts.
You say the narrative with Kate, it didn't happen. So specifically, did you make Kate cry?
No.
So where did that come from? Was there a situation where she might have cried or she could have cried?
No, the reverse happened.
Things were obviously difficult and strained enough when Harry and Meghan left. But afterwards, by giving interviews to Oprah, a 6-part Netflix documentary series, by Spare, that has opened up this chasm. It is now so wide that it is hard to see how that bridge can be built easily.
I think William and Kate feel more strongly about all these indiscretions. Such was the level of betrayal that they felt. These personal stories had been told for commercial gain.
In August 2025, Meghan and Harry announce a new deal with Netflix, meaning more damaging royal stories might be released in the future. The divisions that stem back to the wedding have led to Harry and Meghan living in America and estranged from the royal family. But that might be about to change. 7 years after the wedding, these pictures capture a secret meeting taking place.
My story revealed that Prince Harry's aides had flown over from the US to meet with the King's senior communications aide. Those photos were taken on a balcony. It was a heat wave. The balcony was overlooking a public park, Green Park, and the photographer got brilliant, brilliant photos. And, you know, a lot of people thought they were staged. They weren't staged, they weren't. But it was a fantastic, amazing coincidence that they went onto the balcony for 10 minutes. And that balcony was in the full view of the general public. And it was a peace summit. That's what it was labelled as, a peace summit. And I think the meeting went really well.
It does suggest that if Harry stays quiet, in other words, if he manages to keep confidences confident, then there's a possibility that the King might agree to open up a channel of communication with him again.
But while the King shows a willingness to start talks, William has not engaged.
William's got a big job to do, preparing to be king. I think he feels despair. He feels real sadness about what has happened, and anger too, that Harry could have done this to not just him, but to the whole royal family. It's going to take a lot to forgive and forget.
I think if everything had been fine behind the scenes, the little tensions connected to the wedding probably wouldn't have been as big as they were. But it was a snowball effect of everything going wrong, with the planning and the staff being disgruntled and the way that Meghan and Harry conducted themselves. It got to the point where there's no return.
I don't think there can have been a wedding that had quite so many dramas. There's always something goes a bit wrong. But I think on the Harry and Meghan front, it was a different magnitude.